Hey, and welcome to FX Club. This month we're going to do some exciting stuff, and it's all based on a little accident that might have occurred whilst playing in the woods with a gun, and I shot my hand all the way through. So we're going to play with some silicone, some sculpting, and some applying of gelatin prosthetics. So let's get started.
First step, open up your effects box. In this month's effects box, you'll get some effects gel, some plastic sheets, some witch hazel, monster clay, a sponge, a couple of spatulas, some pinky seal, and a Q-tip. To begin making your bullet wounds, take some of the monster clay and put it in a small microwave safe container. Put it on for 20 seconds. This will soften up your clay and will be easier for you to work with. Take a little bit from the clay and roll it into a little ball. Flatten it down on your plastic sheet. Create a volcano type shape where the middle is a little bit higher and then it tapers out to all of the edges. The edges need to melt into the plastic, so no visible ridges on the edges. The middle should not be any higher than about half a centimeter. The whole wound area should not be larger than about 2.5 centimeters wide. You can use your fingers to press down the clay to make it nice and smooth. Now, using your cotton bud or Q-tip, press it down into the middle of the wound to create a nice little round shape. You can use a little bit of Vaseline to help blend it out more, and then press some light texture onto the surface of the clay using your sponge. Now that we've made our entry bullet wound, we need to make our exit bullet wound, which is always a little bit bigger. So take a larger bit from the softened clay and roll it out into a ball. Flatten it down on your plastic sheet. Make sure you blend out the edges as fast as possible so you can work with it while it's still soft. Open up the middle of your wound. This one can be looking a little bit more rough with flaps of skin coming outwards. However, do not extend it higher than 1 centimeter. The width of the wound should also not extend more than 3 centimeters wide. You want to make sure that there is a thin layer of clay on the inside of the wound as well. This can be textured as it is rough flesh. Now we have to make some walls around our wounds. Use the remainder of the clay to create the walls. Roll out the clay into a long cylinder and then cut it in half with a knife or with your spatula. Cut off another little strip of the bottom of each half so you have a straight edge. Make sure your wall is a little bit higher than the highest part of your wound. Curve the wall around your wound and keep it about 0.5 centimeter away from your wound. Press down the outside of the wall so it adheres well to the plastic. Repeat this for the other wound as well. Now you're ready to make your molds. To start making the molds, you'll need to mix up equal amounts of A and B Pinky Seal into a mixing container. 5 ml white and 5 ml pink. Then stir them well together. Now pour the silicone as high as possible onto the wound. A high pour will make it come down in a very thin line, and this will pop any larger air bubbles. We do not want any bubbles in our mold. Make sure you do these steps for both of the wounds that you've created. Pinky Seal hardens pretty quickly, and within 20 minutes your mold should be ready to be opened. Pull off the walls from around the mold and peel the mold off the wound. Put all the clay back together and wrap it up in plastic so you can use it again at any time for more wounds. It's time to make our effects gel bullet wounds. Find your skin tone by mixing some effects gel together and melting it in the microwave. For 2 blocks it would take around 15 seconds. Using a spatula, you can pour some of the effects gel into the molds. Make sure that you don't overfill the molds because you want it to be nice and flat on the top. You can use the edge of your spatula to smear it across to the edges and also to scrape off any excess effects gel. Let the effects gel cool off in the mold for about 10 minutes. Find a spot where you would like to apply the wound and use a little bit of warm effects gel to apply to the skin. Press the mold onto your skin and carefully peel it off. You should be able to take the whole mold off with no problems. You can use a bit of the witch hazel to blend out the edges of your wound. If some of your wound edges are a little bit thicker, you can also melt down some more effects gel and use that to blend away the edges. Do the same thing for your exit wound. You can add some transparent powder on top of your wounds to remove any shininess. Now it's time to add some colour to our wounds. So you can paint the entry wound by stippling some dark red and blue around the hole. You can also add a little bit of bruising around the bullet hole. Also colour in your exit wound. So you want to fill in the whole inside of your exit wound with a lot of darker colour so that it adds a lot of depth. And then you can add however much bruising as you like. Then of course is the final step, which is adding some blood. So add as much blood as you want. However, when you're doing an entry wound, you just want to have a little bit of blood just on the inside of the bullet hole. And the exit wound always has a bit more of a splatter, so you can go crazy with blood on the other side. I hope that you guys enjoyed this month's Effects Club, and remember to show us your creations by hashtagging EffectsClubNZ, and we'll catch you all next month.